Most brands focus heavily on the product and treat packaging like an afterthought, but packaging is often the first real interaction a customer has with a brand. In a crowded market, custom packaging can be the thing that stops attention and creates memorability. According to Ipsos, 72% of Americans are influenced by the packaging of a product. So if your packaging isn't there, you could be losing up to 3 out of 4 customers. I'm Jason Wong, founder of Paking Duck, and in this video, we'll go over why custom packaging matters more than most brands realize, how it elevates perceived value, and why it's not just for huge companies with massive budgets. Packaging matters more now than a lot of brands realize, especially in markets where customers are surrounded by options all day. People don't usually stop and analyze why one product catches their attention and another gets ignored, but those subconscious judgments are happening fast. Before they read the ingredients, test the formula, or hear the brand story, they're already reacting to what they see and what they feel. That's why packaging has become such an important part of the brand experience. In many ways, it works like a real-life attention grab. It has to stop someone on a store shelf in an unboxing video, or while someone is comparing products online. The shape, the structure, the finish, the way the branding sits on the packaging, all of it starts sending signals immediately. And for newer brands, that matters even more. A lot of founders assume custom packaging is something you worry about later, once the brand is bigger, the budget is larger, or the product is more established. But packaging can actually help create that momentum in the first place. It can make a smaller brand feel more polished, more intentional, and more premium long before it reaches a massive scale. That's what makes custom packaging so powerful. It's not just there to hold a product. It helps differentiate you from competitors, bring your brand together, and shape the feeling customers have when they first interact with what you've made. And once you start looking at it that way, packaging stops being a final detail and starts becoming a strategic tool. One of the biggest misconceptions around custom packaging is that it's only something massive brands get to worry about. A lot of founders assume custom packaging is reserved for companies with huge budgets, giant production runs, and entire teams dedicated to product development. So they default to treating packaging like something generic they'll upgrade later, once the brand is more established. But that mindset can actually hold a brand back. Custom packaging doesn't always mean creating some wildly complex structure from scratch or reinventing the wheel. Sometimes it means making smart, strategic choices that give the product a more intentional look and feel. That could be a cleaner box structure, a better finish, a stronger label application, or a packaging format that better fits the brand's positioning. The point is, custom doesn't have to mean extreme. It means making choices on purpose instead of settling for whatever feels easiest. And for smaller brands, that can make a huge difference because thoughtful packaging makes them look more established much earlier in their journey. Another major assumption is that the moment you say the word custom, the price automatically becomes unrealistic. And to be fair, packaging can get expensive when brands overcomplicate things or choose materials, structures, and finishes that don't match their actual goals. But custom packaging isn't one fixed price category. It exists on a spectrum. The cost depends on a lot of variables, including material, order volume, structure, print method, decoration, and logistics. A custom paper box won't behave the same way financially as a glass bottle with multiple decoration layers. A metal container will create a different cost profile than a plastic component. That's why the conversation shouldn't be, is custom expensive, but rather, what kind of customization makes sense for me and my brand right now? That shift matters because it opens the door to strategy. Sometimes the smartest move is not to do everything. It's to focus on the packaging elements that create the most impact for the budget available. When brands understand that, custom packaging starts to feel less like a luxury decision and more like a practical brand building tool. This one trips up a lot of people because packaging is judged by its cover. So naturally, many founders assume custom packaging is mainly about making something look nicer. But good packaging is much more than that. It has to function in the real world. That means it needs to protect the product, work with shipping, fit the product correctly, feel right in the customer's hand, and support the actual user experience. A package might look amazing in a mock-up. Good custom packaging balances aesthetics with performance. That's also why packaging decisions can't live in a vacuum. The visual side matters, but so do structure, durability, usability, and material fit. A brand might need paper for storytelling and presentation, plastic for flexibility and function, metal for durability, or glass for a more elevated beauty and wellness feel. The real goal is not just to make packaging look good, it's to make it work beautifully. A lot of people assume they need to show up with a perfect vision, finalized dealings, exact material specs, a locked-in branding system, and total clarity on production before they can even start the conversation. So instead of asking for help, they delay the process because they think they're not ready yet. But that's not how it usually works in practice. Most growing brands need guidance somewhere in the process. Sometimes they have a product but no packaging direction. Sometimes they know the look they want but not the right material. Sometimes they have a rough idea but no clue how to actually move from concept to sourcing, production, and logistics. And that's normal. Custom packaging is not just a finished object, it's a development process, and that process usually works best when brands have support. That's where the right partner becomes valuable, not just by producing the packaging itself, but by helping shape the decisions that lead to a stronger final result. This is where a lot of brands get unstuck. Not every founder comes in with a fully realized packaging system, and honestly, most shouldn't be expected to. Sometimes the product is ready, but the packaging direction still feels vague. That's where in-house design and development becomes so valuable. Instead of forcing a brand to figure everything out alone, this part of the process helps translate rough ideas into real packaging solutions. It turns abstract preferences into actual creative and structural direction. And that matters because good packaging starts long before production. It starts with making smart decisions early, so the final result feels intentional instead of pieced together. Once the direction is clear, the next big decision is choosing the right material and packaging format. This is where strategy starts to matter just as much as aesthetics. Different materials create different outcomes depending on the product, the audience, the use case, and the feeling the brand wants to create. Paper, plastic, metal, and glass all do different jobs. Some are better for storytelling and presentation. Some are better for function, durability, or a more premium tactile feel. Here at Paking Duck, we specialize in all four materials. And beyond appearance, material choice also affects cost, usability, shipping, and customer perception. So this part of the process is really about alignment, making sure the packaging fits the product, the brand, and the business goals all at once. This is the part that can feel overwhelming for a lot of brands, especially if they've never gone through custom packaging before. Even if the creative direction is strong, there's still the challenge of actually getting the packaging made, sourced correctly, and delivered without the whole process turning into a mess. That's why production, sourcing, and logistics support matter so much. It helps bridge the gap between a good idea and a finished packaging system that actually arrives the way it should. Instead of only helping on the visual side, this is where Paking Duck supports the full path from concept to execution. And for growing brands, that kind of support can save time, reduce confusion, and make custom packaging feel far more doable. And that's really the bigger shift this whole conversation points to. Custom packaging isn't just about making a product look better. It's about changing the way the brand is experienced from the very first interaction. In a crowded market where so many products fight for the same attention, packaging can be one of the clearest and easiest ways to create differentiation and make the product feel more intentional before a customer ever tries what's inside. And that's what makes custom packaging so powerful. It doesn't just help a product stand out, it changes how customers interpret quality before they even test the product itself. A thoughtful package can make the difference between something that feels generic and something that feels considered. At the same time, custom packaging is often misunderstood. People assume it has to be extremely expensive, overly complicated, or only meant for major brands. But once you break that down, what you start to see is that custom packaging is really about making the right choices for the stage your brand is in. It's not about doing everything, it's about doing the right things intentionally. So by the end of all this, the real takeaway is simple. Custom packaging isn't some extra layer that sits on top of the product. It becomes part of the product experience itself. And when it's done well, it can help a brand look stronger, feel more complete, and compete at a much higher level than people might expect. And at Paking Duck, we help brands bring that process together from beginning to end. From in-house design and packaging development to material selection, sourcing, production, and logistics, the goal is to make custom packaging feel a whole lot more doable. Whether that means paper, plastic, metal, or glass, the right solution depends on the product, the brand, and the experience you want customers to have. So if you're building a brand and want packaging that feels more intentional, more cohesive, and more valuable from the very first impression, click the link in the description to learn more and to get a free consultation. And if you want more breakdowns on packaging strategy, brand perception, and what actually goes into creating packaging that helps products stand out, subscribe for more.